Hello. Well, I guess you're here because you like talking about Bigfoot, and I kind of do also because we've had a lot of activity on our property. We've lived here for some 17 years. We moved here at the end of 2000 into 2001, and at the time we did not know what the weird stuff that was going on was connected to Bigfoot. It's only been in the last maybe 5-6 years that I really did figure it out. And it seems like whatever the Bigfoot is, whoever he is, and I think I saw him, and if I did, it was only for a split second. I started second guessing myself. But if I did, his shoulders were as broad as the dash of my car. Okay, and so before that, though, many years earlier, we'd had a lot of strange things happen. We had heard rumors that there was a witch in the neighborhood, but we have never seen any evidence that anybody lives here that is kooky enough to go out early in the morning and do strange things in the woods. I mean, we have panther out here, we have all kinds of things. Not that it couldn't happen, but I just don't believe that that was it. I think that we were blaming it on a person, and just in the recent years, I found out what we're dealing with for sure. I have always believed in Bigfoot because of several things. There was a sighting on our property 7 miles south of Siloam Springs, Arkansas, on the property I was raised on, that my grandfather owned 200 acres out there. Two of my brothers had encounters. One of them was chased in the line of the woods as he was jogging, getting in shape for football. The other one was with my little sister, and they were going to pick my grandma up one day to take her shopping, and they saw the Bigfoot standing at the back edge of the field by the fence line. Big, tall, black, hairy. It looked like man, but they knew it wasn't, and they definitely knew it was not a bear because it stood upright like a man, had arms and legs and everything like a man. Okay, so that scared them to death. Years ago, my grandmother had been watching a show where monkeys, were on it, and they were, Planet of the Apes, and they were on there, and she was watching it, got real quiet, and she had said, they ought not put that on TV. Those monkeys get ideas. But she was not joking. She was serious. In fact, she was worried looking. We laughed at her. She didn't give any information. But after the Bigfoot was seen on the edge of the property, we started putting two and two together and knew that she had had an encounter. Now, when I was about 13 years old on that property, I used to ride my Shetland pony way out in the woods, and we didn't have anything to fear. There were no poachers. There wasn't anything like that way back then when I was little. And so we would go out in the woods and spend the day, take a sack lunch, eat, come back, and that was it. That was our day. Well, I'd gone way off one day across the field, and I was watering my horse, and I heard a grunt on the edge of the woods. Now, I was in a cleared field with no trees, but the tree line all the way around was dark and dense woods. And when I looked at the direction where I heard this grunt, I couldn't see anything because it was just dark. It was too dark. But I knew even then that wasn't a bear. That wasn't a wild hog. That wasn't a panther. That wasn't a bobcat. It sounded like an ape. That was the kind of grunt it was. Now, I watched a lot of shows. I was interested in gorillas and monkeys and things. So I'd heard the noises they make a lot, and it sounded exactly like that. I didn't see anything. But to note, the horse was frantic. His name was Candy Boy. His ears were flopping back and forth. He was ready to get out there. I got on him. I gave him the reins. He took off, and I let him because I felt if he felt we were in danger, and I wanted out of there. So that was my encounters as a girl, and my brothers that encountered also the same thing. And so then we move on to way later, we buy this property, and they think there's a witch here. In fact, I came out the front door one day, and there was a mound of dirt right in front of my door with a feather sticking up straight up out of it, a black feather. And I thought, oh, Lord, what is that? That just didn't happen, because dirt had to be purposely piled there. So I got a stick and began to dig in the pile, and there was a black claw in there. I ask every Native American I know, and I live in Northeast Oklahoma, where they are and where the Trail of Tears is, where the bless their heart, the Native Americans were forced out of their own land and brought to Oklahoma. And so I know a lot that are up on all this kind of stuff in their practices. None of it could tell me what that meant. So I was really confused for a long time. I didn't know what was going on. One day, my daughters, when they were still teenagers, were in the computer room. We had a big, computer system, and they were in the computer room with the two windows open that were about 12 feet off the ground. And they were singing with some of the popular music at the time um, together on the internet with this music. And all of a sudden, right level with the screens, this loud, sort of like animal blah, 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 noise came through the windows at them, and they came running out of the room going, "Did you hear that? Did you hear that?" And I said, "No, what do you mean?" They said there was something pressed right at the window, yelled in the screen. That's impossible. Somebody would have to have, there's nobody that tall. Somebody would have to have a ladder. So what happened to them, I have no idea at this point. But they wouldn't go back in the computer room. They wanted the windows shut. They wanted me to close the curtains, lock the doors. And their dad was gone to work and he hadn't come home yet. And so, we felt vulnerable. So anyway, a few days later, maybe weeks, I don't remember. It's been a long time. I was on the internet and I was just so happy researching Bigfoot, and I was listening to Bigfoot sounds caught on tape. Well, I was listening to this one sound, and my youngest daughter came in and said, "Mom, what is that noise that you're listening to right now?" I said, "Bigfoot." And she started hollering for her sister, and she was freaking out. And she had her sister listen to it. And then she told her sister, "Mom said that it's what Bigfoot makes." And they both freaked out, because then they finally, when they settled down, told me that was the exact same noise that hollered through the window. That's when we began to think something was up. And then, I don't know how many years, days, whatever later, my oldest daughter, one time was out in the back of the pickup of her dad's truck, and she was back in the back end, and she was laying down in it looking at the stars. It was dark, and it was parked a ways from the house in a clearing that we have that's surrounded like in a horseshoe shape of the woods and trees. And the woods just totally lines our whole entire property. And so she was out there laying down, and she heard something go bang, bang, bang on a tree. Well, she sat up and it went bang, bang, bang closer. Well, she jumped out of the truck, and she runs really fast, and she was running. And she said something was keeping up with her without tripping, missing a beat in the edge of the woods. And every once in a while it hit another tree. Bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang. Until she got in the house. She was terrified. We know now. We didn't know at that particular time, and it wasn't much later that we learned that Bigfoot makes a slamming noise and knocks on the trees. And for whatever reason, we don't know. It may have been a young male. He knew these were females, these young females. I don't know. I don't want to even go there. Okay, so many years passed, and we'd have trouble off and on. Winters would be quiet. Summers would be basically quiet, except for the visitors that come, because we live in a resort area. We have security guards. And it's a gated community. And we have water that runs behind everybody's property down. Every property is built on the side of a hill with a valley or a gully in between the next hill where the other people would have their property, and there is water that runs down through there. So there is streams of water that go all the way through this area that I live in. There are lakes inside this area. And in one particular lake here, it has been told that there are Bigfoot that are living down there, that property owners that live up on the top of the hill happened to be outside about 3 a.m. one morning, just randomly, because they just couldn't sleep, and they woke up and they looked down below them and saw a full-grown Bigfoot and a juvenile. So there were other sightings. One of the security guards just recently in this last year has told me that he's seen a footprint that's 20 inches long. We have. I called them one time because I had seen a red, what I thought was night vision glasses on the edge of my property, and we'd been having trouble. It was in the spring. I thought that there was somebody messing around our property. We did catch someone on cam, but then it didn't account for the other strange things that happened that just were random and weird. Like somebody opened that underpinning of our home, and just different weird, strange things that didn't make any sense. And so when I said I saw what I thought was night vision, he said, "Are you sure it wasn't two red eyes?" And then he began to tell me about the Bigfoot sightings and that their eyes glow red. I don't know what I saw. I still thought it was lights. It could have been. I don't know. But anyway, that's taken place. I just made a video. I'm putting the link below that if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. I have figured out that the Bigfoot leave trail markings. I have thought for a long time that I found strange sticks on my property that didn't make sense, that weren't there the next day. And then it just dawned on me to look at Native American signs that mean things, and trail markers, people that mark paths. And I found out that these particular sticks they were leaving was letting them know there was a woman there. It stands for woman. There was one that stands for man. And they leave, I believe, information for other Bigfoot traveling through to let them know what to expect. We just recently went to the property right next door that nobody lives on. It is still for sale. And took pictures of some wood that was laid in the shape of arrows with star shapes at the back end. I'm going to put pictures at the end of this video showing some markers where they leave trees over and put them between two other trees. That it means the way in Native American language, even in Boy Scout language, which I believe most of the Boy Scouts got all their trail marking signs and symbols from Native Americans and way back. So if we look at that, we can kind of tell what these Bigfoot are doing when they are traveling. They leave markers to tell where there's medicinal plants, probably, where there's more water up ahead, where there is a crossing up ahead. In fact, one of those markers over there that I told you that's in the other video that I'm putting a link below did have the markings on it saying there is a crossing up ahead or an obstacle. And sure enough, there is a dirt road that crosses in between the woods area, and they are going to have to cross that at some time or another when they come to it, if they're going to go straight across. So when I understood what that marking meant, I went across the road, the dirt road, and I looked down in the hill, because the dirt road is elevated pretty high, and then it drops into a real deep valley that just goes and follows the two hills all the way around, and the water at the bottom, like I told you. So I'm looking at that, and I'm seeing trees between trees, just marking, going on down that valley. So they were pointing that direction on my side, saying there's an obstacle up at the road, and then I go across the road and I see these markings. I did not go down there. I did not feel safe, but I did take pictures, and I'm including them in here at the end of this video. The strange things that started happening to me about 2 years ago, I would go out at night and the hair would just stand on the back of my head. Now, I know that can happen if there's a panther, if you feel in danger, if there's a bear and all that, but I felt somebody was watching me. I didn't feel like it was human. It could have been, but I started getting rocks thrown at me. The rocks and this happened after I was kind of scolding my dogs. I take my dogs out at night, and I keep them on a leash, and sometimes they want to piddle around. And if I'm tired, I scold them a little bit. Excuse me, I am going to yawn. Excuse me. Well, that's terrible. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, so I right after I scolded this little dog, didn't do anything else. I do not abuse my dogs. All of a sudden, this rock goes poof and landed right at my feet. And I have a video somewhere that I'll try to include in here. It's me walking the dogs at night. Now, I am a Christian. I'm from the South, so I get a little hickey talking sometimes. Well, in this, you'll hear a rock throw and then me say, you can't do nothing in the Jesus name or something like that. I don't know if you can hear the coyotes. Oh, come on. The Lord rebuke you. Can't do nothing else in Jesus' name. But all your evil's fixing to get exposed, so you better stop. Come on, Nikki, let's... Because I believe in the name of Jesus, okay? If you don't, well, that's all power to you. I do, so, you know. But anyway, that's the way I deal with evil. So anyway, I'm going to include that in here, and then you will be able to hear the rock throwing when I'm out there. You won't be able to see anything because it was just our property light at night that shines all the time is the only illumination we have. But you can see enough to know that I'm out there outside in the dark and you can hear the rock get thrown and me say something. Okay, so I'm going to include that. But I started getting these rocks thrown at me. And I was really confused, thinking it was a person, except they were always pinpoint accurate. They were always accurate. They would never hit me. They would always be small, so they weren't trying to hurt me. They were just trying to let me know they were there. And so this would happen over and over every time I take the dogs out. Well, I'd tell my husband, and he'd go out and nothing happened to him, right? So anyway, one night I started making him go out with me this last year. I said, I want you to go out with me. I don't feel safe. I feel like there's something out there, because the last time I said, stop throwing rocks. They threw it again. I said, quit it. And they threw it again. I said, quit it. And they threw it again. I mean, that quick. How they threw them that quick. They already had to have them in their hand. I don't know. And so I ran in the house. I said, I'm not doing this again by myself. Well, my husband went out with me, and no rocks would throw when he was out. Nothing had happened until one night. We went out, and he goes, there's something in that tree over there. And it's dark. We're looking at the tree. You can see the tree moving, but we can't see anything. But we're staring at it, trying to figure out what it is. He's fixing to go over there, and from the back of the house, the total opposite direction, came the loudest slam. It sounded like something had a 2x4 and hit the back of the tree. Quack! And it echoed through the woods. I mean, no human being could do that. I don't know. I've heard they do this with their minds. I can't comprehend that, but they hit the tree, okay? Something did. And I'm thinking, I hope they didn't damage one of my trees. That's how hard it was. But I said, okay, I know what that is. My husband goes, what is it? I said, I told you, we have Bigfoot. And I went in. Well, from that time on, he started getting a little curious and thinking, maybe there is. You know, maybe there's something to this. I really believe that if a Bigfoot knows that you know that they will try to communicate with you. The man that I was telling you about earlier that lives in Washington that does a lot of research, he said if you respect them, they'll respect you. So I've changed a lot of my ways since the rock throwing. I know that they like singing. I have a soprano voice, so one time I just broke out in a kind of voice, really loud. And this was after this year when my husband goes, I don't go out alone anymore. He takes me out. He started getting rocks thrown at him. Now, my philosophy on that is because he cleared out some blackberry bush limbs that were old, and he accidentally pulled some good blackberry bushes out, and I think it made him mad. Plus, he put up a motion light, and I think they're just kind of letting him know, I didn't like that. But anyway, the big time Bigfoot guy also told me that the little ones climb trees and they will hit on something to divert your attention in the total opposite direction. And that's exactly what that slap was on the tree. It got our attention off that in the tree, shaking onto what hit something in the backyard. So I don't believe they want to hurt us, but I have a philosophy on that too. I've had another knock on a tree. I've also had a big limb this big around before I realized it was Bigfoot, which would have been probably 10 years ago, that was ripped off about 15 feet, maybe 12 to 15 feet up in the air. And I told my husband, hey, a dead limb fell, I think, when I was out there walking the dogs, but it sure did slam the ground hard. The next day he went out there, it was a green branch. And so me thinking something slammed it to the ground, something did. And they had to be at least 10 feet tall. And you figure 2 feet of arms or something, 3 feet, or maybe more if you're Bigfoot. Yeah, that's what it happened. Big branch this big, not exaggerating, busted. It really confused him too. But now he believes there is something. He's seen the symbols. We've talked to both security guards. He's been there and heard them. So I'm just trying to get along with them. But I'm not stupid. I know that in nature there is a chain, of who's in command. Who's the top dog, who is top on the food chain and who's not. And that doesn't make us top of the food chain now. And that bothers me because if there's a drought and these numbers are increasing in these Bigfoot, like they say, human beings will eat each other. It's even in the Bible that these women cooked their own children. They got so hungry. So you can't tell me a Bigfoot won't come for a grown-up, for somebody. Been told they're ancient beings. Yes, I believe they've been here for a long time. But I have questions on what they are. I believe because we've had so much witchcraft going on our property that they know some witchcraft or they do something. People have said they're interdimensional. I don't know. I know the arches, when I walked through under arches on our property, when I stepped on one of their symbols made, my battery drained to almost nothing immediately. So I don't know what they are. I feel like they're just like people. Some people can have a lot of spiritual activity around them. Some people can be wicked and do wicked, wicked things. Some people can be nice and do nice things. I know we have Christians and non-Christians. There's non-Christians just as nice as the Christians. They just don't know God, There's no difference. So we can't say they're evil, but they could be. And we can't say they're all good because all humans aren't good. And some people say they're our ancestors, but I will just put this out here. I don't believe that for one reason. We used to have wisdom teeth. We used to live way many years than we live now. Way many years. We are digressing instead of progressing. We are not getting better. We're not getting better. And that's the way the Bible says it's going to happen in the end times. And these people that say that we came from these beings, it doesn't make sense. We are not getting better and better and better and longer, living longer and longer and longer. Not naturally anyway. So until sin's out of here, I don't believe mankind is going to be doing anything really wonderful. Okay, we can stand and be the lights, but other than that, I think that we wrestle against demonic powers, not flesh and blood, spirits, rulers in dark places above us. I believe in UFO activity or demonic. I do. I believe in fallen angels. I believe in all that. So I'm wondering if the Bigfoot are a crossbreed from these Bible times when they said there were giants in the land in Noah's day and after. Are they mixed DNA with angelic being from way back then? Because if you read the book of Enoch, it talks about that they corrupted mankind. How did they corrupt it? By mixing seed. That was the corruption that was talked about. That's what that meant. And they corrupted the animals. So who's to say that these Bigfoot are not mixed with human DNA, but also with fallen angel left over after the flood that have hidden in caves and hidden out? We know now that there's giants out there that are, for wherever they're coming from, who I believe Satan is behind all of it. They say they're making some superhuman beings in the military. Well, I don't think God's pleased with that. And if you're making a human being without his blessing, what's getting in that body to make it function? Did God give it a soul? Demons seek around looking for bodies to get into and inhabit. The reason I'm saying this is because Bigfoot is easily inhabited by demons. they're open. They're not saved. They're so much human that they can be possessed by demons. Maybe that's why some of them stink so bad. In my last video, I talked about that. I think one of them where the club showed up at my house and I smelled a strong urine sulfur smell. I have been in exorcisms and helped cast out a lot of demons, and I do know that there are some outrageous smells that come out of people's mouths when they have a demon inside. Death, feces, everything at once just flies out their mouth. It's the most putrid smell you've ever smelled. And there's different kinds. So I got my questions. If y'all have any of your views, I know some of you think they're very kind and docile. And, you know, I pray that that's the ones I have around here. I think one of them likes to trick me and try to talk to me. I know that it knows that I believe in them. And they seem to be more perceptive to people that believe in them. Okay, this thing's getting too long. I may put some more stuff in another one because I want to put the pictures that I've recently gotten and a few of those that were in the last video that are in line with them. And then when you go across the road, they're down in the gully. I may make a video later of it, but right now I've got snapshots. I'm going to put these in there. Y'all leave your comments and let me know. And one other thing, I'm fixing to move my Sassy Hatsy videos to another channel when I get it set up. And this is going to be solely for the Bigfoot and the UFO encounters and the strange things happening in the world. I may put in some of my views in there, and you are welcome to put yours down in there. We all have different opinions. We can learn from one another if we're not so headstrong and thinking we know it all and know everything already. I am a firm believer in gaining knowledge from anyone I can, any book I can, and then making my own well-rounded view and understanding of something. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this. If you do and you're not a subscriber, I ask you to subscribe. And if you are a Bigfoot hunter yourself, tell me what you think, and I'll talk to you again. Okay? All right. God bless.